Welcome back to Beyond the Wrench. My name is Jay Goninen, and I am your host. We've got a really exciting episode today because we're joined by two incredible names from the world of NHRA drag racing. First, someone who's no stranger to the show, Steve Johnson. Steve's been on the podcast before, and he always brings a ton of energy. I think that's putting it lightly, a ton of energy. He's a different level of energy, insight, and passion. He's one of the standout personalities in NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle, and I'm pumped to have him back. And joining him is a first-timer on Beyond the Wrench, three-time NHRA Top Fuel World Champion Larry Dixon. Larry is one of the most successful and respected drivers in Top Fuel history, and we're thrilled to welcome him to the show for the first time. These two have unbelievable stories, unmatched experience, and a unique perspective on what it takes to compete at the highest level. We're going to get into racing, the behind-the-scenes grind, and how their worlds intersect with technicians in the broader automotive industry. Now, Larry, I'm going to start with you. On Steve's first podcast he did with me, he kind of threw you under the bus about being chased around California by a helicopter.
That you would throw me under the bus like that. It's never... Steve would never do that.
Steve would never do that.
Especially when I couldn't defend myself, right?
Steve, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Wow, what an introduction. It was all in a positive light, I think. We're about to get ratings.
Telling all the people about how I got arrested and getting chased by a helicopter street racing.
Yes. So
what's the positive?
Well, at some point, it had to lead you to a good point, right?
It was a lot of fun to watch the helicopter chase him. It was so much fun. We all had fun.
That's where that line came. Better him than me.
So, Larry, you got to bring us back to those days of being chased by the helicopter. Like, how did you turn that into the career that you ultimately had?
Well, I guess I was a trendsetter. I was a street outlaw when you were an outlaw on the street.
You could get arrested. Yeah.
Yeah. Got arrested, got my car impounded. I didn't get any checks from any production company for my, actually it cost a lot. Right. So, but anyways, but to be honest with you, it's those are definitely learning moments. I'm trying to think. There'd been 1985. I'd be 19 years old, and it's I can't really. I love racing, and the one racetrack that we go to, Palmdale at the time. I mean, it's an hour away, and it's just I want to. And my dad raced Top Fuel cars in the 60s and 70s, and that's the path I wanted to really go. And it was kind of a moment, where you do a reality check. I really need to go about this in a different direction. So, kind of parked the car and ended up at the end of 1986. I was 85, so the end of 86, I ended up getting a crew job on an NHRA team. It was Larry Miner's team, and I just kind of, went through a couple teams, Frank Bradley, and then I ended up at Don Perdome's in 1988. So that was kind of that was my start. Probably a little more.
How intimidating? You raced for the Snake, right? How intimidating was that when you first started off with him?
Well, when I first started out with him, I was on the pit crew. I was working on his funny cars, and he's still racing. And it's funny when you say that, because it was I was in between jobs at the time. I'm working on cars, buying cars, flipping cars, working on them and stuff in the San Fernando Valley. We grew up in Southern California, and the phone rings. My buddy Leon answers the phone, and he says, "Hey, it's Don Perdome," and I'm like, "Shut the hell up! Hey, Don Perdome ain't calling me." And then and I'm like, so I pick up the phone. Yeah, what's up? And it's hey, this is Snake, Then it's oh crap, it really is Don Perdome, And it's they had a guy leave the team. They're looking for a guy, and my name got popped, got mentioned, and so he gave me a call. And a week later, I'm flying to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and that was my first race with him. And and that was I was there 20 years. But I mean,
Wild.
obviously in that time he's racing funny cars then. So I mean, you fast forward a couple of years, then he go. I would have never thought that he'd ever leave funny cars, because my whole life it seemed like he was racing funny cars. But then a couple of years later, he's in Top Fuel cars, and then I think he's going to be racing, his whole life. But then 5 years later, I mean, I did some racing on the side and grooming my way towards, Top Fuel pro cars and all that. And yeah, then I end up getting licensed in his car. And then, I'm abbreviating things
Sure.
very quickly, fast tracking. But then we end up going to Miller Brewing Company. They're looking to get back in the sport, and signed a deal with Miller, and then drove for Snake and Miller Brewing Company for a dozen years. So won a bunch of races and championships. It was a ball. But yeah, it all might have started from having helicopters chase.
I will say, to this day, those Miller cars were some of the coolest looking cars of all time. Just beautiful, beautiful cars. That paint scheme was on point. That's an all timer.
I obviously, with whatever company that you're representing, you're going to have their brand. But I think I would be praising Snake by saying, if you look at all of Snake's cars, Army cars, Hot Wheels cars, all his cars looked cool. Like
Yeah.
if he's putting it in, because he's a painter guy, in the beginning before racing, and everything had to have a look or a style to it. And so, our U.S. smokeless cars, like everything he did, Copenhagen funny cars and stuff, everything he did looked really cool. And it's, credit Don Perdome for having the Miller Lite, Miller Genuine draft cars, all that stuff, the way it looked.
So cool. Now, Steve, tell me a little bit, like, when did you guys meet each other?
Oh, it was at church. Maybe not.
Of course it was.
Well, I think that's what we call the street races, was church.
Yeah.
How come you guys were out so late? Well, we were at church.
We were on a retreat in Tibet, building homes.
We didn't get we weren't troublemakers, except we just loved racing. So there's a place that everybody's got to hang out. They call it Cars and Coffee nowadays, but our Cars and Coffee usually started around 11 o'clock at night at Winchell's. So that's
and I didn't drink coffee then either. I just hung out. I just buy donuts.
I like donuts.
Yeah, no, street cars. He had the motorcycle, the bike crowd that he hung out with at the street races in southern, San Fernando Valley, Southern California. He had the bike crowd, so like I knew of him. We weren't friends, but we were acquaintances. We knew each other, and I hung out with the car crowd. And then it literally 1987. That would have ended up being my first full season on tour pit crewing. Was his first full season racing pro stock motorcycles. So, but then so you're out. I mean, geez, we're on the other side of the country, and I know like 6 people, but I know Steve from the street races, and so like
Beckman.
What, he wasn't out there then, was he? And then it snowballed. But then Jack Beckman, knew him from the street races. Gary Stouffer, which his street race, which his wife Karen, had a great pro stock motorcycle career as well. Knew them from the street races in the valley.
That's wild.
Stuff. It's just, I don't look at everybody comes from somewhere, and you don't have to stay where you're at. It's like if you got a path, and it's like, cars was my path. I love, I think my dad racing Top Fuel cars really gave me the vision, long term, where you could connect the dots and have it go to. But man, the car thing, aside from the helicopters, it really kept me out of trouble. It really did. It gave me a vision of where I wanted to go in life. If I could work on cars, and I'm obviously it snowballed into racing them and stuff. Like, gosh, how cool would that be to have a career, a trade, like being involved in cars like that and have it go somewhere. So, that could snowball into his deal, like where he's, he goes to so many schools, and to give kids, teens a vision of where you can go with your passion. And it's like, I mean, you can get paid for your passion. You're cheating the system.
100%. Steve, talk to me about that side. I mean, that's going from the streets in Southern California to both of you then kind of going on that national scene. I know you and I have talked about that in the past, but when you're looking at that, just having some familiar face on the trail has to help, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's what you unfold the story a little bit more, and then we see each other at the racetrack. We have a friend that's a good friend of both of ours, Torch, and so we just start hanging out and talking, and then you relate everything back to growing up, and you remember he's racing with Don Perdome, but when you get in eating dinner or something like that, remember when Mike raced the Bottle Bob, and it's like, Bottle Bob, yeah, the guy with the Corvette and the nitrous oxide back when nobody had nitrous oxide. Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So that's what fired you up. And I think that's what we try to do at our school programs, is try to wind up everybody. And there's so many girls in auto shop now that, that it's fun relating all that stuff to them. But I think, when that all unfolded, and then I don't know, I had some kind of girl issue, and I moved out, or I ran away or whatever, and then I ended up staying at his place, and and people talk about staying in a closet. Mine technically was the closet. Right?
Yeah. Well, the deal is, like, you just need a base, but you're not camped out there, because it's like you're going to spend 9 months of the year on the road racing, right? So it's just kind of renting a room. And my dad had a duplex, and so I rented out one side, and yeah, he needed a place to hide for a while, so he did. And then my dad ends up selling the duplex, and then he's got this house that he's not using, and it's like, well, so then gets the house, to where I could rent a room from him. So it was like, a couple years later. So that's.
And let me tell you, the little side thing is I had to rent it out to somebody that was destroying it. But so I moved back in, and I tell him about it, and he comes over, and there's no lawn. There's just it's kind of a little bit. It's rough. It's a little bit rough.
It was a house they couldn't use on hoarders. Because it was hoarded too much.
But they did a whole, back when NHRA Today was a big show. They came, and it was a number one rated show, watched by the most amount of people, and they just followed us around for the day. And John Myers was there. He came as a special guest. But where I was going was, he was a top fuel driver, and he had cash, and I had a lot less cash. And so when he come in, he's like, yeah, but we got to do some grass, and you got to have sprinklers and stuff like that. And bam, I come home, and there's grass. It's all graded. It's all pay. And it's like,
I learned this term later in life that I didn't know back then. That would be called tenant upgrades.
What a concept.
He had so much stuff in his garage, and I needed a garage, and there wasn't, so I built this custom shed and did all this stuff. But yeah, it needed a lawn, and then we ain't there to water it, so you got to have automatic sprinklers. And tenant upgrades. He did good.
And then you'd come in, and when you'd come in after work, we both got speed forward a little bit. We both got Pontiac deals. Snake had a Pontiac deal, so he had a black Firebird. It was a white Fire. Was it a white Trans Am?
I don't know.
And I had a black one, and then and I shamed Pontiac into doing it. There wasn't really a marketing deal. It was just the guy I had back in the old days. So, but I was a motorcycle guy with a Pontiac deal, and I loved it. And so, but
that's impressive.
The point of the story is when we get home from work, I'd always look at trophies. His trophy, he had a Wally on the mantle, so that was my motivation.
A motorcycle guy getting a Pontiac car, that lets you know he can sell snow to the Eskimos.
I think we all know that Steve could sell anything to anybody. That's for sure. Yeah. That's not a problem. Larry, when was your first win?
1995. Yeah.
And had Steve moved out by that point, or vice versa? Had you moved out of Steve's house?
No, well, so what happened? I mean, to a little backstory. So in 1994, we had that Northridge earthquake, and so
Oh.
it did a lot of damage in that town, but that set the bait for Don Perdome, my boss at the time. He wanted to get out of the San Fernando Valley. So at the end of '95, they ended up buying some property down towards San Diego, Carlsbad actually, and built a shop down there. So when the shop got done at the end of '96, I moved down there. So the end of '96, yeah, that was, I had to give my renters notice that I was moving out.
I'm moving out. How was that first win? I just and I know that's a long time ago, but Steve, I don't know from your perspective if you recall him winning that first race. I mean, that's got to be a pretty big deal. That first big win.
It was the house that I grew up in with my dad and stuff.
It was just his second race.
So it didn't take long. It didn't take long.
But okay. With that being said, like my dad raced his whole life, ran a bunch of races and stuff. But like on the NHRA national event level, he won one race. So it goes his whole life, wins one race. And so then I worked for Don Perdome. Like he's won all the races, like a ton. But then I hop into his car, I get licensed, and then same crew chief. I mean, I don't even know if we added I was still doing the cylinder heads between rounds and stuff. So we had a great car. We finished second in the points with Snake driving. So then, the second race that we go to, I end up winning. But like my mental, like my thought process was, it's like, if I don't do anything dumb, like the car can win, right? It's number two. Like it just finished. So we go to the second race. We end up, I don't do anything dumb. We win the second race. Like, so, I mean, that's where that's at. But I was so thankful, and I still feel lucky because like there's not, everybody goes there to win. Only one person's going to go out of there winning. So like, and you don't know when your last one is. So you better enjoy it when it did. So and then it was like, I won the second one. I'm like, wow, okay, I don't have to wonder like when it's going to happen. For sure.
I figure you just got out.
Cool. But Don Perdome's got high standards. If he's giving you secretariat to ride, don't screw it up. Like otherwise you're going to get a new jockey. So,
I'm surprised you didn't get out, and like you're just like, you guys talk about this being that hard. I just second race, I just won this. This is easy.
Oh my gosh, I'm so scared of karma. Like I never say anything. I let everybody else do the talking. Like I'll show up for the winner circle pictures. Like it was fun. It was a ball. I mean, we won a few races. We won Indy that year, which was like, gosh, like that was such that, Indy's, it seems in today's era, Indy isn't as, they don't make it as big a deal as it is. But to me, it is absolutely like winning the Indy 500 or Daytona, like winning that race. And I felt really, really lucky and we won the butt shootout at the end of the year.
We were just talking about that. Where's Lana? Lana has his daughter has a Dalmatian, and so, and I like dogs, and so the dog's running around. We're at his place in Florida, and the family's all together, and my gal's here, and her daughter, and we're just hanging out, and I still had to cook the ham. You'd think that all these things would be prepared for you, but I still had to labor over part of the meal, and deviled eggs. I mean, boiling the water. I mean, there was a lot of effort. But the point is I asked him when I saw the Dalmatian, I'm like, hey, that was so cool to be a Miller guy on the Clydesdales beer wagon and have the Dalmatian there.
It was gosh, but the Budweiser shootout, putting up $100,000 for a win, and yeah, 100 grand's obviously a lot of money now, but in 1995,
Huge.
that's huge, exactly. And so the Miller Genuine Draft, my first year driving, ended up winning the Budweiser shootout, and so and you're paying more attention now to the beer rivalry, right? Beer wars and all that stuff, and yeah, I'm sure that was a marketing gig
Oh, they
that
loved it.
Budweiser didn't plan on. But then you got all this, the entire Miller crew, Miller Genuine Draft shirts and everything, and we're riding on the Budweiser Clydesdale wagon down the like that, and I'm sitting up front with the guy that's running the horses and stuff, and I said, man, I bet they didn't plan on the Miller guys doing this. And to his credit, he says, well, then they shouldn't have put the money up. He was just right back with it. But yeah, it was a blast. It was a blast that year, and it just we had a great 12 seasons with Miller. It was a ball.
How do you manage a relationship like that, Larry? Steve, you and I have talked about how well you manage relationships through the years. Larry, that's a big relationship. Like how, I think maybe that's the part that doesn't get talked about enough in racing is the need to manage those relationships and make sure that, it truly is a partnership. You've got to put work into it. How much of a challenge is it with maybe a sponsor of that magnitude?
It's a partnership. As you get old, like all the stuff that you learn as you go through life, and then you get too old, and then it's like, dang, I wish I knew that when I was younger, kind of thing. It's more than a partnership. You need to make it a friendship, but a relationship, no different than a husband and wife, and it's a long-term relationship. Both sides got to be getting something out of the deal. It can't be one-sided, otherwise the marriage ain't gonna last, or the sponsorship isn't going to last. So you really have to make sure that whatever company that you're with, that they're extremely vested and motivated, and you're producing for them, and they're obviously likewise, if they're writing you a check, they're producing for you on that side of things. And so it's hard because a big corporation like that, they cycle through people constantly, and so a new person comes in. And if they don't like drag racing, you got to make sure that they like drag racing, or whatever it is you're doing, because it seems like any company could fall back on golf, and you want them to love drag racing. So really, that's it. And I think looking back, that the hard part, obviously they left after 12 years, but a lot of things happened. I mean, the Miller Brewing Company got sold. The company itself got sold a couple times, big company, and then now like InBev owns them, which is this huge European company, the same one that bought Budweiser. So when people talk about like, gosh, why isn't the beer companies involved? Well, it's because the same company owns Budweiser and
They
Miller.
have 100% market share.
They don't really care what beer you buy, because it's going to be one of them. There's no rivalry on the track anymore, so it makes it tough. And you have to have, I believe you have to have whatever it is to keep that company vested. And if their competition is their brother now, then they don't need to compete and save those millions of dollars.
One of our mentors, John Asher, he was editor of CarCraft. He's probably one of the most esteemed photographers in NHRA history. He always talked about, hey, either have a friend, a relative, or a very strong point to a business deal to get a sponsorship, and that's what racers all want, a sponsorship. And when you can show a value, there anybody in business is going to say, okay, it shouldn't matter what it is. I just want to make money. I want to sell more product. I want to show my services, whatever it is. But with a friend or your, the lucky club, that you're
an ally.
Yeah, it's like that's a low hanging fruit, man. So it just takes some effort. And I talk a little bit about that in our presentations with young people, but you have to, now I got so involved in engine building that I just, that part of my life has kind of escaped me a little bit. So I need to pay attention to that, because we gotta have money to, I remember a long time ago, their class is always the coolest class, but there was a thing in National Dragster where Eddie Hill wrote a letter to Kenny Bernstein and said, "Man, how'd you go 300 miles an hour? That's the coolest thing ever, blah, 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 blah." And then the letter back was with a picture of a $100 bill. And Bernstein says, "Get as many of these as you can possibly find and throw them at the car."
Technicians, have you checked out WrenchWay yet? It's a free online community for automotive and diesel professionals just like you. Whether you're job hunting or just looking to connect with other industry professionals, WrenchWay makes it easy to explore opportunities, stay updated on industry news, and help promote the technician profession. With WrenchWay, you can see detailed job info you care about before you apply or interview, stay in the loop with what's happening in the auto and diesel community, explore technician compensation in your area and across the U.S., track your certifications, and much more. Join the WrenchWay community for free at wrenchway.com or download the WrenchWay mobile app. Links are in the show notes. Steve, how did that come to you, the business side of it? Because when you're starting off on the streets, you just do it because you've got a love for racing. But was there kind of a light bulb moment or something where it clicks on? Obviously, you need money for this, but I think a lot of people, when they start off in racing, regardless of what form of racing, maybe don't fully understand the business element to that. Like for you, when did it click that, hey, in order to do this, I need to find people that are going to help us fund this?
Yeah, George Bryce says everybody's good at something, and I was a street racer, and I had a turbocharger on my motorcycle in '86. I didn't really know what it did, but I knew it was fast as hell, man. The motorcycle was a rocket ship. So John Asher told me what I needed to do, and he went with me. I knew I needed money, so I was teaching myself, and I was getting some advice, and I think in '88, and I think in '88 I ran around and I was so engulfed in going to the SEMA show and writing letters, and I paid a lady to write letters in DOS. We didn't have Word back then. So I constantly sent these out, and I got somebody to. I went to the SEMA show, and I talked to the person. And everybody said, all the racers said, "How do you go to the SEMA show when we're so busy?" And I'm like, I don't know how you don't go to the SEMA show if you want to sponsor. So that helped me, and I met Slick 50, and I really feel like back in those early days, I had probably one of the best deals financially in our category. So. But it had lots of depth. I was doing Walmarts every Wednesday with a motorcycle and a reaction timer with John Force. John Force did Walmarts back in those days. Not as many as I did, but he would show up for Castrol for a grand opening, and I was obviously there for Slick 50. So, but I was engulfed into it. I just loved it. I remember calling him on the phone and telling him, "Man, I'm at the SEMA show and I met these people, and it's Duralube, and he's testing. He's on his first test with Don Perdome." And I'm like, "Oh, and I signed autographs, and I was over at this booth, and I think I got this deal going on, and blah blah. It's all me. And this is at payphone days, I think. And I'm like, "Oh, what about your day at Bakersfield? You guys were testing your first top fuel test." And he's like,
the weekend before our first race at Pomona.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, well, the first run spun the tires or something, and then the second run they did this, and the third run or whatever it was, I got in high. It was near the finish line, and it got air under it, and it flipped over, and it completely did a blowover and destroyed the car and everything like that." And I'm like, "Oh,
so you're not very excited about my news then?"
You crashed a car at 300 miles an hour. Are you? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a little more low key than Steve.
We all are, Larry. We all are.
Right?
Exactly.
Larry,
but
go ahead,
that's
Steve.
the part of the sport, the marketing, the business side. A lot of people were mad or hated Kenny Bernstein. He was very successful. Don Prudhomme was very successful. Force was getting more successful. It's like you got to have money, man, and it's a lot of effort. These relationships. Denzo's involved in our sport, and Angie Smith does an incredible job of doing exactly what Larry said. I even talked to Lisa, and I said how impressed I am with it's the model of racing, I think. So have a great relationship and do a fantastic job and win, but also be an extension of the company out in the world, whether it's a trade show, a grand opening, an event with the corporation or your partners, and it's talk highly.
Keep watering the lawn. Just
Yeah.
because when you get the lawn, don't mean it's going to stay alive unless you keep after it. So you've got to keep that relationship that he talks about. You keep feeding it all the time for the whole length and ride it for as long as you can.
I always ask everybody, what do you think the first thing you do as a business, as a team owner? What's the first meeting that you have? What's the directive of the company when you sign your first contract? So what would it be for Jay?
You've already quizzed me on this. It's how you get the next one, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. I remember you teaching me that. You taught me that before.
Brand new contract is how do we get them to sign an extension? I quizzed you on that. Yeah.
Yes. That's I've learned that lesson, and I think it's really valuable. I think personality has so much to do with it as well, right? You look at like somebody like a John Force who has just a great personality. I think very relatable to the general public. You don't maintain a sponsor for as long as he did, or like all those partners that he had over the years, as you guys have as well. But like you look at what Force was able to do on the business side of things over the years, and you're like, that guy knows how to maintain relationships, right? Like that's impressive.
Yeah, and we were young and we got to watch it in its heyday. And arguably one of the best sponsors motorsports in general has ever had has been Winston. And we got to watch. We got to know Teamway Robertson, Rick Hoosier,
really,
Bob Maston. We got to know all these people. They sponsored Angel, so I got to learn. I talked to George Bryce about it all the time about those early days and stuff. So the sport was, not the sport. The motorsports was extremely healthy back in those days, and for us to be able to kind of watch it at an early age. The Bernsteins, Amato, I got to stand on the starting line when Amato raced Ormsby for the championship in Pomona. I mean, that's, if nobody knows what we're talking about, it doesn't matter what I'm saying, but it would be like the Bulls playing the Celtics, right? In the final game or something.
And it was winner take all. Whoever won that round won the championship.
Yeah, so
that's wild.
But see, we get to learn, and that's what kind of stems the Batman scholarship is I've learned a little bit, and I try to share that with young people, and so just getting them to have some energy. Gosh darn, some of them are just like so low key. You got to have some energy, and that's what people see. Hopefully, it's the right energy, but taking what we've learned and being able to pass it on. We're here at Larry's place in Florida, like I said, and so the rental buildings is a good deal. You don't have to rely on drag racing your entire life.
Be diversified.
You're right. Larry, same kind of question for you. I mean, with the business side of it, I mean, I'm assuming you were lucky in that, not lucky, you made your own luck in a lot of ways, but with that Don Prudhomme relationship, I'm assuming Don probably had a pretty good idea of how that side of the business worked too, right? Like he had a head start on a lot of people in terms of being able to build those relationships early. Have to imagine on top of the racing, that business side had a pretty big impact on you.
If you have, God gave us two eyes and one mouth, like two ears, like you watch, you listen. I worked for Snake for 6 years and sat on the tailgate towing back after a run and listened to him listen to the crew talk on the way up to pick him up and listen to him on the way back, and you're watching every single run down the racetrack. So you're getting schooled on driving, but also a way off track, you're watching how he does business, how he works with his employees, how he works with his sponsorships. So you're watching that stuff, and if you're paying attention, and not just Don Perdone, but John Force or Steve or anybody else, you pay attention to what's going on. See the path, see where things are heading. Yeah, you're going to pick things up. I mean, if I could have had my way, I probably would have raced my entire life. But life, it didn't work that way. So you got to be able to land on your feet wherever you're landing, and make sure that you do have a plan B. And to circle back, that the education, and the scholarship program that Steve does. I mean, dang, how about? I mean, literally writing checks, to young people, to help kickstart them in their careers or where they want to go. That's not bad. Like you could either get with Steve and have him write you a check, or I learned on this interview, you could write a letter to Kenny Bernstein. You could get $100 bill back, which is exactly what I'm thinking I'm going to do after we're done.
You're going to write a letter to Kenny.
I could get $100 bill from, because Steve ain't going to give me no scholarship. I'm too old.
Well, Steve, let's talk about that, right? The current day Batman scholarship. For those that don't know, Batman, the BAT, part of the acronym, stands for Be a Technician. What's the latest with everything with the Batman scholarship?
We do them all over the United States. You can go online to stevejohnsonracing.com, go into the scholarship tab. There's an application there, about 5 or 6 questions. And if you fill it out really, really fast, and you can do it you could probably do it in like 3 minutes. It's perfect, because we take all of those and we throw them in the trash can because people don't care, and we don't want that. So
we love the honesty as always.
Yeah, Emma goes over all those scholarships they get put in, and there's an automatic email that goes back to them saying we've got it, and we go through those and we look at. We're just trying to find somebody that's a rock star. They're in school, they have a part-time job, there's some kind of passion. The dad, the last girl, Amelia, her mom, her dad's a truck driver, but her mom's a Delta, right? No, Delta Air
Wow.
Plane mechanic. So that's her mom. So, very unique stories. And Eric Shaw, they won up in it's Weber State in Salt Lake City. So we did a couple of scholarships up there. We just did one at the Good Guys show. Good Guys has a program called Hot Rodding, Careers in Hot Rodding.
Scottsdale.
In Scottsdale, yeah, we just did one over there, and it's so heartwarming to we gave a bunch of runner-ups, but when the scholarship comes in, we review those, and then we send an email to the students that are rock stars as a finalist, and then the finalist sends us a 1-minute video on how they are, what they're doing, blah, so you can learn a little bit more, and then I try to follow up a little bit on their references and things like that, but it's unfolding, and it just never stops. It just keeps going. So when we announce one, we just go for another one. So we're going to do one up at Wyotech.
Cindy,
we've had a couple in Indianapolis. My godson, Larry's youngest, he worked at Area 31. Is it called Area 31 in Indianapolis? An incredible instructor, Danny, over there, just teaching young. He has a sponsor at his class has a sponsor from a local dealership. So teaches them it's just such a great environment to add to skilled trades, and specifically supporting our initiative in life to help people understand the value and the career of the automotive industry, and in diesel and motorcycle as well as gasoline.
Yeah. And sorry, Larry, go ahead.
No, I was just say that, just from watching my son go through that program, and if you have your eyes and ears open, there's plenty of careers in the automotive industry, and there's company. I mean, the dealership would come in there, literally looking to recruit, young guys and stuff like that. We just lost the phone.
Oh, there's the Dalmatian.
Did you see him? See her?
What is her name?
That's the dog that went to
Steve is like the one dog where squirrel. That, like he saw Sutton. All right, there goes the camera.
If you were there at the Budweiser and you watched him go by, it's something I'll always remember. And then here's the dog right here. Yeah.
But Budweiser's gonna remember we had to cut that team $100,000, and they wore their competing brands, the Miller uniforms to ride it.
Oh, that is amazing. So, Larry, you were saying your son is an instructor?
No, my son went to school.
He went to school.
He went to Avon High School, but they have a magnet program that would because there's not as because of budget cuts and everything like that. It's harder to go into the shop classes. So one of the schools across town, Ben Davis High School, they've got a great automotive program there, and he was able to go to school classes for a couple seasons. And just like anybody's wondering if we were able to circumvent and hustle the system to see if he could get a scholarship. He didn't. It was the year after he graduated. But he literally ended up cutting the check like scholarship to 2 students that went to Ben Davis there. And they got tools.
It's insane.
Stuff. It's free. Again, it's like how Steve's talked about. You could go on there, but you're going to get out of life and out of Steve Johnson Racing what you put into it. And it's like if you want something really bad, show it, prove it.
And we love associating with number one brands. So when we say I write a check, I guess technically I do that, but Peak. John Force's sponsor. He's the Peak brand, and Tom Hervis, his dad had an automotive shop, so he's very partial to that industry, just like I'm saying. But his wallet is a different size than mine, so he
knows, but he knows people. It still works the same. Don't matter whose name's at the bottom of the check, just that it's got your name at the pay too.
Yeah. But and so he writes a check for $1,500, and then the student, we give them about $4,000 or $5,000 in tools, Snap-on tools, the best, and they're all covered up and everything. We pull it off and pull a cover over it and stuff. Like my buddy Rusty West he's been very fortunate in the automotive industry. He has a charity now along with his buddy Tim that's called Wings and Warrior, and they're both very extremely passionate about the automotive industry. So I get some help, but it's just gotten to be really expensive. So it's time consuming and all these things. But between Snap-on and Wings and Warrior, probably going to have maybe a couple other people. We're going to be able to do more next year. So point of the story is if you're excited about the automotive industry and you're in tech school or you're in an automotive program, consider free tools as a neat deal, and especially anytime. So go online and fill that out, and if you get brought in as a finalist, then you can make sure you do a good video, because you can tell the difference between.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah. So you gotta get some advice. Get some advice on how to do it. If you haven't heard my quick little tips on how to get there or kind of understand what we've talked about here, it's not hard to stand out. It really isn't.
Everybody in life needs a mentor. Mentors. Yeah. He calls it like almost a board of directors for your own personal brand. That you have a group of people like that your go-to people to like ask for advice and guidance, because it's like maybe Christopher Columbus did it on his own, but beyond that, like everybody has guidance and getting up and getting going, and just use the system I still have mentors,
I didn't have I had some guidance, and I knew that I really wasn't involved so much in preparing an entire turkey dinner. And I brought Emma down here to see all this going, but I didn't realize that I would have to be involved at the level that I was. I had to cook I had to do the ham, okay? The whole ham I had. And I mean the coating on top of it, the preheat of the oven, and the deviled eggs. The deviled eggs. They didn't have deviled eggs.
So yesterday, so I like my annual tradition. I deep fry a bird, right? So I go through the whole process, deep frying the bird, and then you have to you got to babysit it the whole time it's in there, make sure the temperature still stays the same. And then I'm like, dang, like I'm watching Steve warm up a ham, and warming up a ham must be exhausting because he was asleep for the whole time. And then, because then I'm really like, damn, I want to do the ham next year, But then, because then I'm thinking because it's not really hard work. But then I'm thinking it must be mental exhausting because it forces him to have to take naps while this ham is warming. It's not cooking; it's warming up, So, well, I guess we'll just stay in our own corners. I'll keep doing the turkey. He can do the ham, and he'll pawn off the deviled eggs to his significant other. Yeah.
For those that are listening right now, this you can probably get the gist, but we're recording this on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. So the smack talk about cooking Thanksgiving dinner is great. I can only imagine how that translated from the track back in the days or back in street racing. Maybe there's a little bit of smack talk, but one of the best things about having friends is the ability to smack talk with them over something like Thanksgiving dinner.
Continually for 30 years of 40 years of smack talking.
Yeah, ultimately, we all know that the girls, the wives, the girlfriends, the mom, your grandma's yaya's here, and I mean there was everybody was involved. Maybe Inslee, Emma's youngest, didn't youngest only. Maybe she didn't do anything. She ate lots of pecan pie. She had lots of pecan pie and was on the rev limiter the whole time. So, but it's like everybody else's Thanksgiving. It's no different. It's the same thing.
We were I was comparing yesterday, thinking of Thanksgiving in the past, and we've done a few Thanksgivings at a Sizzler or a Denny's or something like that. Let me tell you, Yaya's pecan and pumpkin pies crush Denny's.
Different level.
Sorry, Denny and Sizzlers, but yeah, knocks it right out of the park. And then hand whipped. Do you know that the carton in the grocery store that says whipping cream? Yeah. If you actually whip it, it becomes whipped cream. I was amazed, and she did it, and it was awesome. Now I know
the things you learn over over the years. Yeah.
It just doesn't come in a can called Ready Whip. It actually
you got to do something.
Yes, whip.
Yeah. Look at this.
Oh, that's awesome.
See the table everybody's loaded up on?
Yeah. Yeah. That
it was a big table.
Squirrel.
There was a lot going on there yesterday.
It was a fun day, and trying to take advantage of the day to just to time out on life and dynos and cars and all that, and be thankful for your family, thankful for your friends.
What do your travel schedules look like right now, in general, as we go through the holidays? And, Steve, I know you, on top of everything, you were just at the Good Guys event. You were at SEMA. I missed you at SEMA, but it feels like you guys are on the road. Whenever I'm complaining about traveling, you guys have a different level of travel.
Yeah, I think I'm going to a big presentation with the North Texas Dealers Association.
Brent?
Yeah, Brent Franks, and I'm doing that next. I think on the 3rd through the 5th, and then we have the PRI show, and then I do a commencement speech where we're going to present a Batman scholarship in Laramie, Wyoming, I have some miles on Delta, so yeah.
How many miles are you at, Steve?
Oh my gosh.
4.2 million.
That is wild.
He's got more status than pilots.
That is wild. Never stop, never stop. That's it's the energy to travel 4.2 million miles. That's impressive.
It's five, and Kelly Clont says when we announced that it's going to be our 500th race, she got down to Indy last year, and she says, I have no idea how you could do 500 races. And I'm like, for if you're listening, or you're obviously listening, but it's like if you go to all the races and do it for 39 years, you'll have 500 races too.
I don't think Kelly's 39.
Would have been hard for Larry. How about you? Like, how does your travel schedule typically look? And I would be interested for you, Larry. I want to hear like a race weekend, what a race weekend looks like for you.
It's well, for me. It's a lot. It's been softer though. I'm going to say the last 10 years since I'm not on the NHRA tour. So it's just small portions, I guess. I've been running the 2-seater. Still do that. So we give rides, and that's kind of like a June through September program with that, where we're kind of once a month go to a track during that and run the 2-seater. I'll run the top fuel car either at exhibition races. I've mentored younger drivers, got them licensed in the car, and then go to the NHRA events. We actually did an IHRA event with the car where I drove the car in September. So a little bit of that stuff. I've got some street car stuff that I play with. I got a Chevy 2 that. Okay, listen to this. So the rest of the story of getting arrested with the 55. That was the last time I ever street raced that 55. But then, right after that, I bought a '66 Chevy 2 from a friend. Right then, well, I've kept that Chevy 2 this whole time, and parked it. Didn't do a lot with it, and then maybe 10 years ago, got with General Motors. Put a late model like LT4, kind of they call it a connect and cruise system. So it was an LT4 with the automatic transmission, and then went and did drag week in some of those drag and drive events. So I've been doing that for almost the last 10 years, working on that. Pulled the LT4 out, put an LT5, doing that again with General Motors on that, and a magazine build it'll end up on in Chevy Hardcore. So kind of stay in tune with that. And then the motor that's coming out of the Nova is going into an El Camino that if I can ever get it out of paint jail, it will actually go in there. And that's not a jab. It's total love. So if my painter hears this interview,
we love you.
We love you because you still have my El Camino. So I want to get it out. I'll bail it out anytime you say it's done enough time. So the LT4 is going out, but the thing that I love the old cars, but I love modern technology too. That LT4 that I drove to do drag week and Midwest drags, I've run as quick as 980s with the car. It gets 22 miles to the gallon on pumped gas, and I could drive it to California and back.
Wow.
It's such a nice package. But that's what the modern technology is letting things do now. So it's like now the LT4 is out, going to LT5, so more power, trying to keep the mileage around the same area. And then that's going in El Camino. But like the modern technology with the small blowers that fit under the hood and the fuel injection and all the electronics that go into these packages are so efficient, but make so much power. I get excited about it. And now my son, my youngest son's 19, is starting to get into cars, get into racing. Started racing Super Comp earlier this year. Got a Super Comp license last year. Went through Frank Hawley's school. So doing a little bit of that as well too. So kind of almost I'm getting to the point in my life where I'm like basically passing the baton off. Doing a little, not a lot. I want him to do more and me do less, and kind of pay it forward, pass it on to the
That's
next
awesome.
generation.
That
So
is so cool.
not as busy as him, but still busy.
It's still plenty busy. I've got a few kind of rapid fire questions I've got for you guys, and as we kind of get close to concluding this episode, first question is, what was your first car?
Oh, that's a good one. Mine was a '69 Cougar.
That's awesome.
Mine's 55 Chevy.
That's the one. That's the one.
That's the one. Yeah.
I think I was too terrified to race anything that was my primary driving vehicle when I was 16, because I know my dad would have killed me had I wrecked it. So I.
But that's a part of that story. So like when the helicopter's chasing me, right? Literally, and I'm like, as I'm driving, and I've got the skinny tires on the front, I can go 150 in a straightaway, but I got to go like 12 miles an hour around the corner with it. So stop and then go down. I end up under the underpass under the San Diego or the 405 freeway. I'm underneath, and I'm like, and the spotlight is going like this, like on both sides, and I'm like, what the heck am I gonna do? Right around the corner from my house where I'm at, and my dad's there, and I'm like, I can't go home. My dad will kill me, right? So I literally ended up driving down the street, and then I gave up. Shut the car off, got out of the car, put my hands on waited for the cavalry to arrive. And I would have much rather dealt with the police than my dad. So I'm right with you with what you're talking about.
We all stood there and watched his car get loaded on. He says, "Hey, would you guys mind putting it on a flatbed?" And we're like, "Oh yeah." This is back in the days when the cops might have beat you up, but they were cool as heck to him.
Yeah, got a flatbed ride to Fox Motors in Van Nuys, where I had to go pick it up the next day from impound.
Oh my goodness, this is great. Next question is, what would you be doing if you wouldn't have been a drag racer? That goes for both of you.
Wow, I think I've had that question before. I'd probably we have Del Taco out here in California, so maybe Del Taco. I would be a burger technician.
That doesn't sound terrible some days.
I've said this before. My last job away from cars was working at Jack in the Box, like literally. So
really?
Maybe I make my way all the way up to maybe assistant manager. Hopefully by now I could make it up too.
No, I would definitely be. I'd definitely be doing something fun. I'd be corporate America. I'd be working on cars.
You'd be selling something.
I'd be doing something. I wouldn't be a burger technician. I'd be doing something cool and fun, and it'd probably make a heck of a lot more money.
I'd be lost without cars. Gosh, I have no vision, none.
Or motorcycles. I'm working on motorcycles too.
Yeah, I think that once it gets in your blood, like a lot of us were just raised with that. I don't know that you ever get rid of that, right? Like it's just kind of in you.
No.
Last question of the hard-hitting questions that our marketing team put together. What time do you get up in the morning? And this actually, you guys could hold each other accountable here, because Steve, you apparently were very well rested all day yesterday. So I would assume that you were up pretty good time today.
I'm usually a 7 o'clock guy, but
7 o'clock.
I do a lot of early morning flights, and
those are brutal.
Yeah, but before Emma, I would just work the night before every race. I just work all the way through the night, and then I just go to I'd leave to go to the airport, and then when I went from Atlanta, you'd fly from Birmingham to Atlanta, and then Atlanta to wherever you went, and I'd always shower in the clubs. So I was rested,
Nice.
in between flights. Yeah, in between flights. So I'd always. It's still 7 o'clock, but there's lots of days where there was either no sleep or a 3:30.
Yeah, I'm not crying when I say this. I'm reporting. I think my oldest son is 25, and I don't think I've been able to sleep in since we've had kids. So again, not crying, just reporting. It's just no. took a picture of the sunrise, and it was 6:03, and I was already up. So like we're going. We're up and I'm up and going early now. So
we've got to be careful with what we're saying here, because we've got some stray ears maybe from the family in the background that we don't want to get you guys in trouble during Thanksgiving season here. That would be bad.
Yeah. No, we're good. I'm safe.
Yeah.
You're safe. We're all safe. All right.
Yeah.
So this has been an absolute pleasure. I've been able to really, Steve, over the years, get to know you a little bit. Larry, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you.
Likewise.
Larry, where can people follow you around and online and kind of track what you're up to?
Yeah, social media. It'd be Instagram and X. I still don't like the word X, but
Me neither. Yeah.
Twitter. Yeah, at Dixon Top Fuel. I don't have. I am my own social media manager. So and then I think on Facebook it's Larry Dixon Racing. So
cool.
Those and then when something's going on, I'll post about it. I went last month, went to Bakersfield with one of my dad's old race cars and did the hot rod reunion, the NHRA deal, and I fired the car up. So it's like all my most of them are always car related, but yeah, social media, you hit me up, and then the same thing. If people's got questions on anything, you can DM me, and you're going to get an answer back. So
that is so cool. And Steve, how about you? We talk a lot about the Batman Scholarship. Oh, hold on. You got to come this way just a little bit to your left, I believe, and down.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
Yep.
All right.
I don't know if that's going to work, but
I don't either, but we'll try it today. First time on the podcast, we've got a QR code coming across. If you're listening to this, you can go on to YouTube and be able to find this QR code. Steve, if they don't have access to YouTube right now, where do they go to? They go to stevejohnsonracing.com. Where else can we find you at?
I'm on Facebook and X and Instagram, and it's Steve Johnson Racing. I do a horrible job. Emma handles that really good. But
Thank you, Emma.
This QR code, but yeah, not quite as fluid. But you can definitely find. I'm going to do a lot better job with that in 2026. My 40th year racing. It's going to be our 40th year.
Congratulations. Look forward to following both of you along. If for those of you listening, get out there and check out that Batman Scholarship. They're doing some phenomenal things with that. And the more we can paint a light on that or shine a light on that, I think the more people are going to get opportunities for these scholarships. So can't thank the both of you enough for joining us on the day after Thanksgiving. Hope you're able to enjoy the rest of your time in Florida.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on your show. Thank you.
That wraps up another episode of Beyond the Wrench. If you liked this episode, please show your support by rating and following the podcast. You can also watch the video interviews on WrenchWay's YouTube channel. Speaking of WrenchWay, did you know Beyond the Wrench is managed and produced by the WrenchWay team? WrenchWay is an online community dedicated to promoting and improving automotive and diesel careers. We help technicians find the best shops to work at, and we also help auto, diesel, and CTE instructors get more support from local industry. You can learn more by visiting WrenchWay.com.